So it's Sunday, fun day, and there's really nothing to do because the market is closed. So we're going to kind of go over a couple basic things I've learned throughout 10, I think, what am I, 35 now almost? Jeez, gosh. So like 12 years of trading. So over 12 years of trading, I've taken my losses. I've done my research. I've been to you guys. I've been sitting on the charts forever. Now I really don't have to sit on the charts anymore because I've just learned, throughout the years, that's really not the way to go. So like the videos you watch on YouTube that says, well, I just have these 6 screens of trading. You really don't need 6 screens to trade. Now, there is one thing I do want to talk about is as I was sitting in bed this morning, there's been a lot of talk of just fear mongering. So let me tell you something. When you are watching YouTube and you're watching a person talk to you through YouTube, you have to remember, how are these guys getting their subjects? Like, let's just use an example as Ricky. Well, I'm probably going to go on Google and type in what is the stock market news today. That's why he talks about like Amazon or he fear mongers or something like that. Now, those YouTubers, they're just going to tell you the basic thing that they've learned off of Google. Ron likes to just go in here and type in, let's see guys, let me get my charts today. Let's type in the feared and greed chart today. Man, I know there's some people looking for that today. Guys, you have to remember, trading isn't just doing that. You really have to understand that the whole entire market is basically these stocks. 7 stocks, 8 stocks, whatever you want to call it, the Mega 7. The Mega 7 is 48% of the market. So today we're going to kind of go over a couple basic things I've learned today, especially a couple of small cap coins because I can't, my head hurts when I see about this altcoin season about to take off to new highs. Guys, if you don't understand, crypto follows the stock market. And there's a reason why I say it all the time, because I've seen people lose thousands and thousands of dollars because they think, oh my God, this is alt season, it's at all-time lows, or Bitcoin just took a big drop. If you are trading crypto, you need to be trading the stock market. You don't have to buy in the stock market, just chart the stock market. Learn your interest rates, learn how to understand inflation, because if you don't understand inflation, it is going to eat you alive. If you don't understand rates, that's why I do stuff like this, because, I just like talking about it. There's a reason why I don't do advertisements on my videos, because I have enough money. Like I'm well set off because I've learned this stuff years ago. So I was like, maybe I should just run a Discord. Maybe I can find people. And I'm not going to lie. Running a Discord is not hard. It's really easy. But holy cow, it is very hard to find people that just learn basic knowledge of the stock market. And that's why I make these videos, to educate people, because one day, honestly, I don't make these videos for you. I make them for my kids. Literally, I make this for my kids because I know one day my great-grandkids are going to be watching this. And they're going to see me trade by trade by trade, calling out stuff, learning the stock market, learning inflation, learning rates. That's the whole reason why I do this. That's why I don't put advertisements. That's why I don't post my face. That's why I don't post my sports cars out there in my front yard, because there's no point. I don't really care. I really just do this for my kids. But in other words, this could help you out too. So it's like a win-win situation. Now, I've made some great friends online, not going to lie. I actually have some really good people in my Discord that if they were struggling, I would definitely order them pizza, or, if they had no money for the light bill, I'd probably pay for it. Like, there's people out there, but it's very hard to find people like that. So let's go over a couple things today I do want to talk about. Let's start off with crypto, because I think it's probably one of the biggest things that the talk of the town, honestly. I just don't understand how people are so brainwashed by it, but I get it. It's the future money, which I do agree. So let's start off with Bitcoin. Let's go off to the week chart. And this is just basic knowledge. This isn't me trying to predict anything. So let's actually take off the moving averages. Let's move this down. So this is the triple Qs, right? The triple Qs came around 2010. Same thing with Bitcoin, kind of came around 2010. I really wish I got into it at 2010, but no, I just got out of high school around then. But so if you're trading Bitcoin, you have to understand that it is following the stock market. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, let's overlap it and look at it. Now, if you're trading crypto, you need to learn the Mega 7, control the stock market, because what that is going to do is going to control your Bitcoin price. Now, on the back end, you need to learn rates. You need to learn how inflation is going to affect the market, and I'm going to go over that in a second. So if you're trading crypto, you need to understand that it follows the stock market. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, here's the triple Qs, here's Bitcoin. I know, mind blown. I guarantee you 80% of the people watching this video don't know this. Which is kind of crazy. I honestly don't know why other YouTubers don't talk about this. I've seen crypto traders get really big on, YouTube, and I'm always like, why don't they talk about inflation or rates or stuff like that? So just be very careful. Now with the altcoins, because that is super important too, because altcoins are going to be the next coins. Not Bitcoin's not just going to be the biggest one, right? Forever. So let's just go to XRP because everyone knows what is XRP. If you're trading smaller cap coins, now if you look, it looks kind of different, but look how it follows Bitcoin, right? Now with these altcoins, what I've learned over the years is what they like to do is they'll trade off a low volume and they'll keep trading really low volume. And one day they will just have a really skyrocket. And you'll see there's always news that will justify those actions. Literally, it blows my mind how people don't catch on to this. But a lot of people, that's just what they do. Newspapers been around forever. It's just like embedded in our heads. But altcoins, they will eventually catch up to Bitcoin. And Bitcoin will follow the triple Qs or NAS or SP 500 because they're all together. Because why? Let's just read it again. All of these stocks are in all of your indexes, controlling 50% or more. So just remember, if you're trading crypto, you need to be watching the Mega 7. You need to be watching inflation rate. You need to watch just basic knowledge of the stock market. Now, one thing I do want to point out with these small cap coins, sometimes they trade sideways as the market and Bitcoin goes up. It's one of those waiting games. One day they will pop really hard. One day they will pop really hard. One day they will pop really hard. But it's not altcoin season. We are still about to cut rates. Inflation's about to jump. You're going to get another bear market very soon. I'm going to talk about that next. So just hang on. Don't just sit there and be like, well, no, that's not going to happen. Because there's that one viewer always. Ugh. But either way. So let's actually talk about inflation now, right? And then we'll talk about crude oil and stuff like that. That basic knowledge you should know. Now, I kind of just want to show you this because I think this is probably one of the best charts TradingView has came out with, which is why no other YouTuber is using this. I don't understand why either. So let's actually pull up inflation rate. I'm not going to go through the colonies. I'll just show you the charts if this will hurry up. So inflation. So if you've been around, this is a 10-year chart. So this is from 2015. If you don't know about inflation, and this is not me predicting, this is not my opinion, this is basic economics 101. Literally. Like this is just basic economics. And there's a reason why they don't teach you this in high school. I had to learn all this stuff by myself, losing tons of money. And eventually it worked out later on in my life. But man, holy cow, there was no YouTubes and YouTube videos in 2015 or Robinhood trading apps. Guys, I remember when I used to have to call a number to buy stocks. That's how far back I've traded. Like 2010, 2009, like trading apps, you guys are so lucky. So on inflation, I'm going to make this very, very easy. When you are having an economy growing, so this is around 2017, 2018, notice how inflation was taking off, right? Well, when inflation was taking off, that's when Trump was in office. Everyone remembers him injecting money with the stimulus checks. Don't get me wrong, Biden did it once too. But when you're injecting money like this into the market and the economy's booming, economics 101, you will get inflation coming with the economy growing. Now, to fight that, because usually politics trade it off behind the books and don't talk about it because every side is evil, you just pick a side because of politics, because Rome just said it, give them bread and games. Literally, that's all politics are. They literally trade off every election, Republicans and Democrats. Don't get me wrong, I like Republicans. Democrats, I'm sorry for you. Just go back to California. But either way, the economy, as it's booming, inflation will go up. But King, why is inflation not going up now? Because Biden pumped our interest rates to 5%, because around this time right here, this is when we were bottoming in that bear market Biden had, because he had to drop the economy to slow down inflation. And as inflation was hitting this kind of low around 3%, he wanted his bull market, right? So if he wants to have a really strong bull market with low inflation, what do? Economics 101. You raise a crap ton of rates at big percentages, half a point, saying, go ahead, pal, go ahead. Jeffrey's waiting you in the prison cell. Yeah, literally, it's that easy. You just raise rates and it holds down inflation. Now, not going to lie, Trump is saying, well, inflation's all-time lows. Yeah, because it hasn't spiked yet, because they're just starting to cut rates. Now, the biggest thing is we're in 2025. I said almost 2023. Geez, I'm getting old. Going into 2026. So Biden had, let's just pull up the charts really quick. Biden had this extreme big push, raising rates. The economy's booming. Inflation's being held down at 2% because of high rates. So let me tell you what's going to happen, because this is basic economics 101. When Trump is starting to cut rates, inflation is going to spike and you will get another bear market. Here's the thing. It's not about, okay, so Biden did his bear market really slow. Honestly, it sucked, but it was awesome. It made a killing money because I knew it was coming. Same thing right here. I was posting at 535. You can go look at my videos. I was literally the only YouTuber, literally called out 400 in the triple Qs and hitting on point. Because why? Because this big channel right here, it's not hard to chart. You will have always multiple charts in your charts. But either way, Biden got his inflation cut because he had a bear market. Rates are really, he's jacking up rates as he's having his bull market. Now Trump is going to have to reverse this. So Trump is going to have to drop the market. And as he drops the market, Powell is going to see the market and economy is cooling off, so he cuts rates. Now he's been cutting rates, honestly, because everyone knows Trump is threatening his job, and I guarantee he wants to end it on a good note. But I'm telling you right now, this 2023 bull market Biden had, and Powell's cutting rates, there is nothing to hold down inflation anymore. You're going to see a spike in inflation, and just like how I showed you in this chart right here, when we had this really hard push in inflation, that's when this market was going, that's when the market was pushing this hard right here. That's when inflation was popping. You're going to see a spike in inflation. And what that's going to do, it's going to trigger a hard drop in the market. Now, is that a bad thing? No, it's not. Guys, I guarantee you there's a lot more younger traders than older traders. And I guarantee a lot of you still live with your mom, still live with your dad. You don't understand what it's like to go buy some meat just to feed your family. Meat is so high right now, like hamburger meat. Guys, if you remember back in, I don't know, I think it was like a year ago, lumber spiked super hard. Guys, do you remember when eggs spiked really super hard? Because the reason why, it's called stagflation. Inflation doesn't move everything as one. You will get certain categories to pop really hard, and then people freak out and they stop buying, and then eventually it starts to drop, like in lumber, eggs, meat, even though meat hasn't dropped yet, which it probably won't until we start dropping in the market and have a recession. Common sense, economics 101. But that's something that you need to take in your head, because I know there's still a lot of bulls. Now, is it a bad thing to drop down to around 440? No, it's not. What that's going to do is that's going to allow Trump to take it off to the next level, which is going to be awesome, right? So that's economics. So let's talk about crude oil, because I think crude oil is one subject that is really missed on, because really a lot of YouTubers don't know about crude oil, I guess. I don't know. I guess they don't talk about it, which is surprising. So let's go to crude oil really quick. Let's actually zoom in. Let's just target this area. So if you're a new trader, this is something that you should know. So on crude oil, let's actually pull up the triple Qs. So on crude oil, come on, pop up. There we go. So on crude oil, if you don't understand crude oil, it is inverse to the market. When you have small recessions in the market, crude oil will pump really hard. You can go do this with a lot of other natural resources, not just crude oil. You can go do this with natural gas and see if it moves opposite or with the market. There's some resources that move with the market, aka gold. I'll show you that in a second. And that's what blows my mind. A lot of people don't understand why gold pump. The reason why gold pump is because we just hit 640 something in the triple Qs, guys. I know, mind blown, right? No other YouTuber tells you this. I don't understand why. But the reason why crude oil has been going down for so long is because we've been getting a hard pump in the triple Qs. Now, let's backtrack this a little bit. If Trump gets a recession, right, you're going to see crude oil pump again. And what that does is, when you have a really low crude oil, you can go overlap this with, I guess I can do 9 because I think it's time to talk about 9 again. 9's one of my favorite oil stocks to trade. It's just like a small cap coin. Not a small cap coin. It moves like a small cap coin. The gains are insane. So let's top in 9. And it's a drilling company. It does natural gas too. It's based out in Texas if you want to be one of those guys. So let's just go here because it's a little bit easier to see. It does come late to the game just like altcoins. But as you can see, crude oil pumping, right? These oil stocks will eventually catch up. This went from $2 to $19. I remember that day. I made a video around this time when it was around $2 or something, and it blew my mind. I I almost said something bad, dumb for not investing. Even though I knew it was coming, I don't know why I didn't, but whatever. But either way, recessions will make crude oil pump, will make your crude oil stocks pump even harder. And on the side note, if you want to see if this, like your natural resources, because I know a lot of people trade wheat or lumber or, metals, something like that, just overlap it with the triple Qs. If you see a inverted, it's pretty easy to see if it moves with the market or against the market. Let's go to gold really quick, because that's the talk of the town, because a lot of people are buying gold jewelry, which is insane why you would buy gold jewelry right now, even though it's going to drop really hard and then you're going to lose value and cry at Christmas next year. Let's go to gold. So the talk of the town, gold, right? If you don't understand gold, now I get this all the time. A lot of people are like, well, the market's going up today, gold is dropping, I'm still confused. Let me repeat this. It does not move to the 1 minute time frame. It is a overall. And sometimes it's not going to move exactly like the market. So let's pull up gold. Let's pull up the triple Qs, which I already have it. So here's gold. And here's the triple Qs. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy how it just moves together? Now look right here. The triple Qs was pumping really hard. Gold wasn't pumping with it. It's a overall. See how there's a hump? See how there's a hump? See how it was rejecting and just dropping a little bit? It dropped a little bit as the market was dropping a lot. But as we were getting a bull market, look what gold did. Now, if we have a small recession, small, not talking about a stock market crash like most people are fear-mongering, you're going to see gold reject. And what you're going to do is Trump is going to drop gold a little bit, the market a little bit, and then gold's probably going to get more expensive later on in 2027, 2028. So if you're trading gold, there you go. A lot of people don't know that. Then also, let's actually talk about one of the most basic things that a lot of traders overlook. And I'm just going to point this out. If you are trading the market, you need to be charting this entire chart right here. Right here, AVGO, Google, Apple, Meta, Amazon, Tesla, NVIDIA, Microsoft, AMD. You have to chart them. The reason why you have to chart them, let's bring them up really quick. So let's pull up, I'll even throw Bitcoin in there just to, throw it in there. Let's pull up Microsoft. Let's pull up NVDA, right? NVDA. Let's pull up that. Let's pull up Apple, right? Apple. Everything moves together. See how everything is going up in 2019 because we had a really hard push. See how everything is dropping right here. It is having a drop because of recession, but see how everything moves together. It is not down to the 1 minute time frame, but in a overall, just like gold in the market, it is going to move together. Let's actually clean up some so you can kind of see. Let's take Bitcoin off. So here's Microsoft, right? Here's the triple Qs. Same thing. So, and this is also the backbone to your smaller cap companies. So let's say that you're trading a company that's brand new. It's still going to follow the Mega 7. Now there is some stocks that don't follow the market. Sometimes they do their own little thing. To me, as a trader, I will not trade those stocks. I will not touch one penny stock or nothing, because if I know the market's about to have a bull rally, right? Like say, when we were in the Discord and I was calling out for 6 months saying, hey, watch out, 400 in the triple Qs is coming. When we hit 400 right on point, we made a bunch of effing calls in the Discord and made a ton of money because it was so easy, because we knew the market was going to bounce, because we knew the market was going to stop at 400. But if your small cap coins isn't rejecting with the market and then also pushing with the market, why are you trading them? It's literally just trading off of volume. So don't trade those small cap companies or startup companies if they're not moving. Now, companies that I've noticed is when you do get recessions, right? Or I don't know, when I say the word recession, I think people think 2008. When you get small drops in the market just because it needs to just reset, right? Here's one thing I've really caught on throughout the years of trading. Every single time, I am not kidding, you get a drop in the market like right here or right here, you will always see these companies just come out of nowhere. And what I'm talking about here is one good company because I like to watch it, CRWV. It just came out, right? So let's actually pull this up because I kind of want to show you. Now, it's already dropping. It's already made its really big push with the market, but let's go to the day so it's a little bit more cleaner. And you can use this. So like if you are trading during a bottom of a recession, because you will always get like 4 or 5 months at the bottom of a bear market because the market is slowly resetting, right? You won't probably see a 530 in the triple Qs to 400 drop in 2 weeks like that again for a while. But I'm just saying, like a bear market, and the bear market's about to end. What I'm saying is keep an eye out on these smaller coins, on these smaller companies. When this came out at $34, this went up to $190, right? Yeah, I just had a flashback to, what was it, MVIS or something like that. Oh my gosh, it went from like $2 to like 30 or something like that back in 2019 because we had a really big strong push in the bull market, right? So what I'm saying is, when the market bottoms, you need to pay attention to this. Let's actually pull up the triple Qs. So here's the triple Qs, and this is what it did when it came out. It came out when the triple Qs were around $400. What a coincidence, isn't that, right? It just randomly caught that bottom when Trump came in office, the tariffs came in, dropped the market, this company came out within weeks, right, on the stock market, and it pumped with the market from 400 to 640 in the triple Qs. And look what it did to the company, right? It pumped the stock from around $34 to $190. That is something I've caught on through about the past 8 years of trading. I'm always like, man, where are these small companies coming from? I've always noticed there was always a big influx of companies, and it would just blow my mind. I'm just like, wow, they don't really come out in bull markets. Why are they coming out in bear markets? Oh, and then I started overlapping, right? Because you can see that it follows the stock market. Here's something else too. Let's go to GameStop, because Mr. Kitty, I get it. You made a killing. Congrats, right? Well, here's the thing with GameStop. It's the same thing. Let's actually pull up a bigger chart. So can you notice anything about this chart, right? Even though Kitty thinks he's a genius, which is not really hard to understand. Kitty, if you don't know, Netflix movie, he bought GameStop and people thought he was crazy. Which, if I was his friend, I would have told him to do the exact same thing, because I could tell you that it was probably going to do this too. Too bad I wasn't thinking about this in 2020, right? GameStop was $1.36. So if you actually overlap the triple Qs, you can see the exact same pattern, what the triple Qs market going up. So as you see, right, this is when Kitty bought his stock market shares around $1 as the market was pumping. Look what the GameStop shares did. Now, there's sometimes when, like I said, sometimes it will trade sideways for a little bit longer, waiting for the market to pump higher and higher, and you will get a big influx of it trying to catch up to the market. Now, this is mostly trading off of volume still, but you can see, let me pull up this, you can see how when the market was pumping, there was a spike right there. You can see how the market was pumping, there was a spike right there. You can see how the market was pumping, there was a spike right there. And you can see how the market was pumping right here, there was a spike right there. So if you're trading these companies like GameStop, this is something you need to keep your eye on, because if we're going to a recession, these are going lower. It's at $22. I guarantee you to be at $5 the time the bottom of the recession hits. So just be very careful if you're trading these companies. Let's see, what is something else I know that most people don't really pay attention to? DXY. Let's talk about DXY, because I think that is something it's overlooked also, because one big problem I will always get is when you're working in your mechanic shop and you're listening to that 65-year-old guy, the dollar is going to die. The dollar is not going to die. The BRICS in Russia is not going to kill the dollar. The reason why the dollar is going down, let's pull it up. Let's just do this, because like I said, and it's not going to move to the 1 minute time frame. It's going to move in a overall, okay? So let's look at it like this. When you get a recession, right? Oh, wrong one. When you get a recession in the market, this is the triple Qs, you will get a DXY pumping really hard. Now, let's go to a little bit farther. Let's just cut it off right here, because I don't want to, confuse you guys. So look right here. And yes, I know triple Qs dropped to 400 right here. It didn't really hold. It bounced right back really fast. DXY couldn't react. But as you can see, the market going up, right? You can see how DXY is going down. Now, if we get a recession coming up, you're going to see DXY probably pump up to the top of the channel once again to around 107. The dollar is not going to die, guys. So stop watching those fear-mongering videos. Let's see one thing. Now, I'm going to talk about this because I think it is overlooked also, because a lot of people can't detect trend changes. And this is how I made my money, honestly. It is super easy. I didn't catch on until later. A lot of people, they get on TradingView, they're like, well, this indicator tells me buy and sell. This is a great indicator. All your indicators on TradingView mostly move off of moving averages. But King, why do they move off of moving averages? Because if you don't understand, moving averages are just not support and resistances. They can tell you when a trend is changing. But the biggest thing is you need to learn, let me take this off. You need to learn that you're also going to have to watch this right here, because this is your backbone in the market. So let's say AVGO, right? Let's do it this way. Let's say AVGO all the way down to Tesla is breaking their 100 moving average and it's heading down to the 200 moving average. So let's pull up the 200 moving average on the triple Qs. So right now, the 200 moving average is around 540, okay? And as we're going through the weeks, this list grows. More companies are dropping down to the 200 moving average, but yet the triple Qs is still above its 100 moving average, this green line. Now let's say all of these stocks start to break their 100 moving average. Let's zoom in really quick. What that is going to tell you on your indexes is this is going to drop to the 200 moving average. But King, how do you know that? Because guys, 7 stocks control 48 to 50% of the market. If you have 50% of the market crashing down to the 200 moving average, 99% of the chance, that means the market's going to go down to its 200 moving average. It's that easy. There's a lot of traders out there that don't know this. And the thing is, this is the triple Qs, right? Go on Google, type in what is the equal weight of SPY or the NAS or the SP 500. You will see every single mega stock in those. But what are those percentages? That is market cap. You know the thing that you should learn that you didn't learn because you put it off because you don't really care about market cap? Market cap is your percentages of what it is in the market of your index. So there's a reason why NVDA's market cap has been growing. If NVDA's market cap has been pumping really hard, it is going to have more power. See how it's at 9.9%? It is going to have more power than AMD because it has more market cap. But that's just my stuff I've learned over the years. There's more to know. I'm just not going to post an hour-long video. There's no point. If you don't like it, go watch your Ron and Ricky. I think Amazon sold some shares today.